gentlemen, it's a pleasure to meet you again, see you again, address you again. What we have before us here is a fairly simple thing. What you have before you is a question of whether or not a ballot initiative will appear on the ballot for the city of Poplar Bluff. Now, I believe you've probably been told, or may have been told, that the 5% petitioning requirement of state law does not apply to the city of Poplar Bluff. Bottom line is, that is patently not true. You have an ordinance that says if the city of Poplar Bluff has no ordinance, that state law applies. You have no ordinance with regard to ballot initiatives. There is a state statute that says if the community wants to pass an ordinance or repeal an ordinance, that there must be 25% of the registered voters to sign the petition. This is not an ordinance. This is a ballot initiative. And under state law, which your own ordinance says must be followed, state law says that 5% on a ballot initiative is what is necessary. The Constitution of the state of Missouri, the Constitution of the United States of America, provides that you have a right under the First Amendment of the United States Constitution, as incorporated by the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution, a right to petition your government for redress. Well, you have a bunch of citizens who want redress, and they're not getting it. They're not getting it because, in my humble opinion, you all have not been given the facts and you've not been given the law. Again, your ordinance says, if the ordinances do not address the issue, state law applies. You have no ordinance on ballot initiatives. State law applies. 5%. Not only my view, the view of the Secretary of State. Not only my view, but apparently also the view of the Attorney General of the state of Missouri. So I would encourage you all, strongly, in the absence of an ordinance, declaring how a ballot initiative is presented to the citizens of Poplar Bluff, that you apply state law exactly as your ordinance says you're supposed to do. And that is 5%, which I believe you have. And so we respectfully request that this be placed on the next ballot, next municipal ballot, for a vote of the people. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Can I speak, Mr. Mayor? Yeah. Well, I have to respectfully disagree with you.
I know you would.
And the Attorney General and the Secretary of State, you're right about one thing. The ordinance, what the ordinance says, that the state statute will apply. However, you've got the wrong state statute. The statute in question here is 78573, which does address initiative and referendum and applies to cities of the third class.
Yes, it does, Wally.
And we have a check.
It applies.
Paul, I listen to you. You listen to me.
Well, don't get condescending and start arguing with me.
I'm not arguing with you. I'm responding to what you have said.
Go ahead.
Speaking of condescending about getting proper legal counsel.
You want to go there? We go there.
We can go there.
All right, let's go there.
We don't have to do that.
Let's go there.
We don't have. I have the floor here, so I'm responding to your assertion.
Mm-hmm.
I have advised the council what I think is good legal counsel about this particular issue, and it is 25%. What you refer to refers to state initiatives, which this is not. This is a matter for the city, and that particular statute that you cite simply does not apply. There's really no reason for you and I to argue about that. That's just what it is.
All right, Wally, explain to me how then you said you paused. My turn. Your ordinance says where there is no ordinance, state law applies. Does the city have an ordinance with regard to ballot initiatives?
I've already answered that.
The answer to that question is no.
Is no.
Thank you.
So we follow the state statute,
which is
78573.
78573, which talks about wanting to pass ordinances, not a ballot initiative.
It talks about a ballot initiative, Paul, and the way it is done.
It does not. It talks about referendum. No. It talks about referendum, Wally.
Which is what we're dealing with here.
It does not.
Initiative and referendum.
All right, Wally, basic stuff. The title to a statute does not control the content and the interpretation.
I won't argue with that point.
Thank you.
But you need to read the statute.
I am. I'm looking at it right here.
Well, there's no point in us arguing that. We're gonna have a basic disagreement about that particular matter, and I believe the council is going to follow my advice as opposed to yours.
That's fine. All I'm saying is the city council needs to be aware that any proposal to adopt an ordinance, any proposal to repeal an ordinance is dealt with that statute.
And that's
There are
what
other-
we're wanting to do, is
there-
adopt an ordinance.
No, we are asking for a ballot initiative.
To adopt an ordinance.
No. To say, to tell the city council.
An ordinance presented to this council last meeting, and we were asked to adopt that ordinance. Yes.
That's not my understanding.
Well, your understanding is wrong.
Then fine, we'll go out and get a petition with 5% that asks the city council to pass an appropriate ordinance with regard to open access, with regard and consistent with the people's voice as voted by the people.
And my advice to the city will be that that is not a valid petition because it's not 25% of the registered voters who voted in the last.
Even if it doesn't have an ordinance attached to it.
That's not the question.
Wally, that is the question.
That is not the question.
The state statute deals with ordinances, not ballot initiatives. You have no ordinance with regard to ballot initiatives. That's what we're seeking. 5%. That's the state law. That is your law based upon your ordinance.
And you're playing with semantics because what you want is an ordinance. That's the only way that's the only way a city matter can be addressed is by ordinance.
Wally, please, go back, read 573. If the petition has an ordinance and it's 25%, the city council has a choice to pass it or submit it to a vote of the people. That's not what we're asking for. If in 573, if the people don't want an ordinance, if they want it repealed, the city council has a choice to either repeal it or to give it to the people for a vote. Those deal with ordinances, not ballot initiatives.
Paul, we're arguing over semantics because what you're asking for would have to have an ordinance. If there was a ballot initiative
drafted by the city council in accordance with the vote of the people.
That's right. So that's an ordinance, isn't it?
No, because we're not proposing the ordinance.
Okay, Paul.
Well, you tell me what the difference is. What's the difference?
No difference.
An ordinance proposed by the people and voted on, or the people saying, we want this ordinance, you guys craft it. That's a huge difference, Wally. It's a huge difference.
We'll continue to disagree about that.
Any other questions? Hearing none. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your time.